My name is Bec Valley and this is my wonderful husband Ryan. We have been on really quite the journey for the last 3 years. My health journey began when I was about 12 and I was diagnosed with a really serious kidney disease. By the time I got to 15, it was dialysis and my kidneys had completely stopped working. And my wonderful, amazing mum stepped forward and donated me one of her kidneys. And I lived a beautiful sort of second life. For 15 years, that kidney worked. But kidney transplants don't last forever. They are a solution, but they're not a long-term solution. I suppose for us, there was really
An unexpected turn when our beautiful daughter Bo was born. So she was born via surrogacy. My sister Sarah was our surrogate and our little miracle Bo was born. But while she was still in Sarah's tummy, they said, something doesn't look quite right with her kidneys. And we just knew straight away that this wasn't going to be coincidence, that something was obviously going on that's quite serious. They discovered that Bo and I have a extremely rare form of kidney disease that is genetic and can be passed on. When we reached the point where I needed a second kidney and Bo was about 6 months old and we had to make a pretty tough call, which was, does Ryan donate a kidney to me and enable me to obviously continue on living a normal, reasonably healthy life, or like my own mum who gave me a second chance at life with her kidney, do we save it? And we know that Bo's future means she will need one. And so we made, to be honest, I think the decision that any parent would make, and it was an easy one. It was one where Ryan's kidney would be reserved and given to her when the time came, if the time comes, for her to have a kidney, so that she has that same opportunity of, not having her health hold her back and be able to step into a transplant smoothly and not have to wait. And we decided that I would wait. So we started the dialysis journey, which is 3 days a week in hospital, on a machine, obviously filtering your blood to keep you alive, essentially. I was just, when she was unwell, I wasn't able to have a transplant.
What started for me as 2 days a week in hospital ultimately ended up in really 4, if not 5 full days in hospital. I mean, I have no words to actually describe how sick you feel. And I tried in the moment to actually not think about it, because it would have just weighed your soul down to think about how sick, and you feel like moving is hard and standing and thinking is hard.
As a husband and a new father, I think one of the most difficult things is trying to process this painful situation where you'd love to step in but feel powerless to do anything. And so you pray a lot and learn to be comfortable in what's uncomfortable and to grow in a tension that you can't resolve by yourself in your own strength. Now, there was a moment where I'd gone to visit someone in the church at a coffee shop, and across the mall, across the way, I hear a loud yelling, Ryan! And I look across the way and it's Benice Callahan.
I'm Benice, and my husband and I, Rodney Callahan, has been at the church, KBC, River Life, more than 20 years now. I mention him because we both had a really life-changing experience when we did the Rick Warren series, Purpose-Driven Life. For me, it was more about, instead of just being in the church, to be the church. One day at home, I was updating my bucket list and added a few destinations and a book I wanted to read, and I felt moved, I guess, of just wanting to do something more. As I was writing, the other bits on my bucket list, into my mind pops this idea of an organ. I went to my GP and then, got the first thing done was a ultrasound, where I was then informed that I have 3 kidneys. So then decided, okay, I have to. I've got 3. I obviously was ahead of my time, and I think God was too, because the timing wasn't quite right, and they turned me down because of my interesting anatomy. And life goes on, and I actually forgot about it. It was like in that too-hard basket until one day, 13 years later, I see Ryan in a shopping centre that I had not been to in 10 years or something. And my mouth opens, shouting his name, and what just happened? So now I've got Ryan's attention, and he's coming towards me, and I'm thinking, what am I saying? And the next minute he just starts sharing, and I think it just decided to go on leave because Bec was going to start dialysis again. And that's where we started joining the dots. God's timing, my timing, not quite the same, and I think it happens with a lot of people. Our timing doesn't always align, but he has the perfect timing.
You got a phone call that we weren't a match. So again, I probably had anticipated that more than B, because I knew that I was very difficult to match. When you have had more than one transplant, you have a whole range of medical things to take into consideration to be a match. So it was in some ways a surprise in the story, because it felt like it was just rolling along and that God was like, here's your match. But
I know, 13 years, the way the door closed, and we just knew we were the same blood type.
We did already know that.
We knew.
In brief, there's a way that essentially there's a program called the paired exchange, and you swap kidneys. So B's not a match for me, but she's a match for someone else, and that person's partner is a match for me. So it's like a triangle, swap. So we went on that program, which is still a wait list. Pretty much 3 years goes by at this point. And Benice and I definitely have formed in that 3 years a very close friendship, and truly something, probably feels like on another spiritual level. In many senses, the last 3 years, you're not actually even necessarily tangibly thinking upon these things. You actually just have a foundation in your faith that God has proven himself faithful and trustworthy throughout my and our entire lives. And truly for me, it feels so deep in my spirit that it's always okay in the end. It's always okay with God, even if it is eternity. And even if I had lost my life and I'd never got a kidney, and we even had a few tough conversations with Bo, because she was very aware of hospital and mummy being very sick. In the end, it's okay.
We believe that the story that's told through Bec and her faithfulness and the faithfulness of others, such as Benice and Rod and the people around us, will tell a greater story and to be a better witness, and we'll become better people through this.
We are all characters in a story working towards that center, which is, how can I help and be Jesus in this moment? And there are some amazing people who sacrifice organs to, they donate organs to be demonstrating the kingdom, but that's not how it has to be for everyone. And when I was on a dialysis machine, there were times where I would pray for people or talk with people or even just befriend the people who were next to me. And for many of them, their transplant will never come. But it's asking that question of, I'm in this story, this is what I'm in, and how can I be just a character? How can I just be a character that actually is working towards the coming of Christ and showing them that he's here and he's made it okay, even in the good and the bad.
Taking you back to purpose-driven life then, the very first chapter is You Are Not a Mistake, which I guess really got my attention because not that I wore the label, but I was a mistake. Yeah, my mom suffered domestic violence really badly, bits and pieces that she's told me that she really had to fight for her life at times. So yeah, she had already left my dad, moved on. Moved on to discover she was pregnant. So that was a tough decision for her to then be on her own. My mom did everything she could for me, and my mom's name is Lynette Weber. Amazing life, she's given me everything I need, but still, as a child, you just feel those things, and I knew I was a mistake. But how awesome is God, because he had the story planned. What still blows my mind is that when Bec prayed this very specific prayer, he had already answered that prayer in 1972 when I was conceived. And yeah, to my mom, you know, I hope that offers her some hope as well and peace. In what she had to suffer. Yeah, if I can even use this as an encouragement to, you know, women still going through that area of domestic violence, you are not a mistake. You know, your children, your unborn baby is not a mistake. You know, God has a purpose and a plan for each and every one of us. So yeah, I just hope this could offer some hope to everybody, because we're not all born with 3 kidneys, but it could just be that you're part of the body and, you know, you encourage others. Use your tongue, you know, just to encourage people, or just love on people, engaged and communicate, or, you know, invite people into your home or whatever it may be. So it's much easier options. So yeah, just engage and actually step out. Don't be afraid. And I think for me, yeah, many years it was, you know, I lived a faith as well, like, you know, 1 foot in the church and 1 foot in the community. And then until one day, reading Purpose Driven Life, it was about, okay, stop sitting in the church, be the church.